The iPhone 13 was just released a few months ago, and for some reason, you already want to buy the iPhone 14. It's a strange cycle that happens pretty much every year with any iPhone upgrade cycle, and the new iPhone is released, and suddenly our minds are already focused on the next one. But with the iPhone 13 seemingly perfecting the iPhone experience with its amazing display, fantastic battery life on pretty much every model, and a smartphone camera that is easy to love and well-rounded enough for almost any situation, is it even possible that we are just a year away from something substantially better that actually makes it worth waiting for? Well, maybe. This could actually be one of the years where we are due for a major year-over-year upgrade. Hey, what's going on everyone? Greg here, and iPhone 14 mania is already sweeping the internet. So if you want to stay in the loop and hear my thoughts during this entire process, get subscribed. And hey, listen, it's the holidays, so, be nice. Show your appreciation by hitting the like button. It's like a free tip you can give me to show your appreciation for the channel and my continued efforts making these videos. And of course, I always appreciate the support, but let's talk about the iPhone 14, because while I can't help but get excited about phone upgrades every year, it appears that the iPhone 14 could turn out to be a special phone that could be one of the biggest upgrades to a device since the iPhone 10. And I think the rumors and leaks are one of the major reasons a lot of people want this phone. And honestly, it's leaks around just a few reasons, but one of them has to be with the idea that we might actually see a radically different iPhone design over the iPhone 13. And we have a lot of smoke regarding this rumor from separate reports from really credible sources like Mark Gurman, John Prosser, and Ming-Chi Kuo. And it is interesting how that works, because when we see an iPhone that changes its form factor or design language, we generally see more interest and more excitement over that newer design rather than an older model. And it's one of the easiest things to look at from a customer's perspective to see the differences in a yearly phone upgrade, even if nothing else about the phone has really changed or improved. It kind of sounds shallow, but hey, a lot of people just like having the new design. And I think we would be lying to ourselves if we didn't account that some people will be upgrading to this phone just because it has a new look. And based on the current rumors we have now, these looks kind of sound like they could be too good to be true, but hopefully they are, because we are seeing design leaks saying that the iPhone 14 will look similar to what people consider one of the best designed iPhones of all time, the iPhone 4. And also perhaps a return to a less obnoxious camera bump that blends and fits into the phone more, which could be achieved by making the phone thicker. We've already seen the benefits of thicker designs by Apple increasing things like battery capacity, and functionality-wise, it could be a step towards making a more aesthetically pleasing phone design. Another big leak that seems to have even more weight behind it is the front of the iPhone 14 Pro models, which may be moving to a hole punch camera. Now, as someone who's never really been bothered by the notch, this rumor honestly doesn't excite me, but I know it's one area where a lot of people are actually bothered by the notch, and this is an area where people are excited, and people have been asking Apple to remove the notch ever since they laid their eyes on the original iPhone 10. So if you're in that camp or know someone like that, quite frankly, the idea of a hole punch on the front of the iPhone 14 would make it appeal to a much larger audience than normal, especially if Apple is able to fit the Face ID sensors under the display and hide them completely. That would not only mean more screen real estate with the removal of the notch, but Apple's investment in the Face ID system would give it a significant advantage over every other Android manufacturer who uses less secure methods for face unlocking or in-display fingerprint readers. A hole punch with Face ID would be quite a unique feature on the iPhone 14 that I don't think you could really find anywhere else. Of course, there's other reasons why you'll be drawn to the iPhone 14, and I think one of the big reasons is because this is going to be one of the most appealing iPhone lineups we have ever seen out of Apple. Again, I hate to be contrarian here, but I really love the 12 and 13 mini design, But I get that most people out there prefer bigger size smartphones, and with this year's iPhone 14, Apple is supposedly going to be giving us the biggest iPhone lineup yet, and probably more accessible to a larger set of customers. That's because we are expecting Apple to discontinue the Mini this year, and the smallest size iPhone 14 will be 6.1 inches. The smallest size will be 6.1 inches. But that doesn't mean they're dropping the fourth iPhone in the lineup, because instead of an iPhone Mini, we will be getting an even bigger iPhone 14 Max with a 6.7-inch display. And then, of course, the iPhone 14 Pro and the iPhone 14 Pro Max being more premium versions of both of those regular models. The iPhone 14 Max, I think, will be a huge seller, especially if Apple prices it somewhere around $799. I mean, if you look at the market data and you see that people are already buying the Pro Max just for the size of the display and the battery life alone, with an iPhone 14 Max, you'll be able to get those two features on an iPhone under the $1,000 Pro price tag. Don't get me wrong, the iPhone 14 will still be an expensive phone, but I think it will go a long way in driving more people to the bigger sized smartphone and upgrading their existing phones, or dare I say, even switching over from a similarly sized Android smartphone in that price range. Perhaps the biggest indicator that you'll want an iPhone 14 is the primary reason why people upgrade their smartphones today: the camera. And we may be looking at quite possibly one of the biggest changes to the iPhone camera since the iPhone 6S. That's because for the first time since 2015, Apple is widely rumored to be changing the megapixel count in the iPhone from a 12 megapixel rear camera to a 48 megapixel rear camera. And this does have me excited. Now, I'll be the first person to tell you that you shouldn't be excited just for a megapixel bump, especially in smartphones. First of all, megapixels are a horrible way to judge camera quality because megapixels just refer to the resolution, and we've had high megapixel count smartphone cameras in the past that don't beat out the 12 megapixel sensor on the iPhone. And in a lot of ways, a higher megapixel count is just some smartphone trickery at this point, because we have to account for pixel binning, which basically just takes the adjacent pixels that are close together and then kind of merges them into a more, kind of dumbed down 12 or 16 megapixel photo size. So you're not actually getting the raw output of that higher megapixel file. It isn't actually fully available to use. You don't get to see all that data. And honestly, it looks like Apple is probably going to be doing the same thing. The current rumors are saying it's going to be a 4-cell merge output mode, which in all likelihood will take that 48 megapixel image and then bring it back down to the 12 megapixel output we have now. However, not to sound like an Apple fanboy, but it is such a cliche at this point that Apple waits for technologies to improve before they implement them into their device. And we've seen smartphone manufacturers race to put out these higher end megapixel sensors into their smartphones years before Apple. The fact that Apple is ready to put these into the iPhone now could mean an even bigger bump up in image quality because of how good their computational photography is and how good their camera hardware is. Combining that all together with all that extra information that the 48 megapixel system will have to work with, and that could lead to substantially more detailed photos. And it will be interesting to see what sort of software tricks or features Apple can use with this data. Furthermore, it will also enable the iPhone 14 to shoot 8K video. Again, this has been on Android smartphones for a couple of years, but consistently, year after year, the iPhone seemingly is unbeatable with smartphone video quality. And just like I said before, Apple isn't the type of company to rush in an 8K sensor just to say they have it in their smartphones. They've obviously waited for this technology to improve, and this is likely the year that they felt comfortable with 8K video that won't have as many compromises and overall look much better than their competitors. And we could see a big upgrade to the zoom range on the iPhone 14 Pro combined with this megapixel count, and also the fact that the iPhone 14 Pro is rumored to come with a 10 times optical zoom, thanks to a new technique for a periscope lens, which Apple just patented. And combining that with that large megapixel count would mean even better optically zoomed in photos, but also even better for digital zooming, which would help when taking pictures far away from the subject. So a new design, better phone size options, and a substantial camera improvement. I think those are going to be the main factors that drive the adoption of the iPhone 14, and it's probably why, as you're watching this video, you want one. And honestly, there's still more features that should be coming to this device, like possibly longer battery life thanks to that thicker design, a more powerful A16 chip, and quite frankly, more features that we don't even know about this early on. Either way, it does sound like a big year for the iPhone 14 with some of these rumored features, and I can see why. But if you want to learn even more about the iPhone 14 as I get information, or just my thoughts on it as we learn more, make sure you're subscribed to the channel because I'm sure there's still a few more twists and turns in this rumor cycle as we seem to go through every year. And if you like this video, be sure to give me a like, and don't forget to let me know in the comments below. Are you excited for the iPhone 14? Do you want to buy one, or do you think it's overhyped? And as always, if you made it to the end of this video, thank you so much for watching. Really appreciate all the support. And hey, maybe I'll see you in the next video. Take care, everyone.